There is a moment quiet, almost invisible, when someone senses you drifting far away. They won't admit it aloud. They may not even grasp it themselves, but something deep inside them detects the change before their mind can process it. And in that instant, something stirs. Not love, not reason, something far more primal. Because when a person realizes they are losing you, they will start to feel a wave of isolation and disconnection from everything around them. They are not simply reacting to your absence. They are reacting to the shattering of a world they constructed around you. You were never merely a presence in their life. You became central to how they defined themselves. And now, as that base starts to fracture, everything they believed was solid begins to shake. Watch carefully. People do not handle loss the way you imagine. They do not travel in straight paths. They do not obey logic. Instead, they turn unpredictable, fierce, even unrecognizable. The steady grows restless. The remote turns frantic. The assured turns doubtful. And this is where it turns perilous, because their following step will not stem from the self they presented to you, but from who they've concealed all this time. The sense of loss does not originate in the outside realm. It originates in the internal terrain where meanings get assigned far beyond what shows on the surface. When someone senses they are losing you, the response is seldom about the current instant only. It is formed by ancient marks, emotional traces created long before you arrived in their life. What seems like a mere change in focus or space turns in their mind into a warning that something vital is fading. This sense triggers levels of the mind that stay quiet usually, showing how profoundly people link their feeling of steadiness to another's nearness. At the aware level, they might view the case in everyday ways. You are less reachable, less open, less reliable. But below this outer view hides a more intricate mechanism. The unconscious ignores facts. It works with symbols and links. Losing you is not simply losing an individual. It turns symbolic of losing safety, approval, or even a sense of identity. This explains why the response often seems excessive for the case itself. The strength does not arise from what occurs today, but from what the instant stands for inside. There is something primal in this reply. Human beings are built to pursue bonds as a means of survival, and any sensed danger to that bond stirs a profound, nearly automatic warning mechanism. Yet this is not only biological, it is mental. The mind starts to hunt for significance, linking present doubt and earlier times of absence, dismissal, or emotional turmoil. These links are seldom aware. Instead, they show up as emotions that appear without obvious cause: discomfort, worry, or a silent feeling of coming loss. As this internal stirring develops, the person gets drawn into a condition of increased alertness. They start to spot minor shifts they might have overlooked earlier: a late reply, a change in voice, a faint pullback. Every sign gets enlarged. The mind, now watchful, tries to build a story that can explain this sensed loss. But since the unconscious takes part, this story is frequently partial or twisted. It is affected not just by truth, but by projection, the habit to complete blanks with personal dreads and hopes. Projection holds a key place here. When they sense they are losing you, they might unconsciously cast their own doubts onto you, reading your conduct via the view of their inner struggles. If they dread being left, they may spot space where none exists. If they battle with self-value, they may think your pullback shows a critique of them. In this manner, the sense of loss turns into a reflection, showing not only the bond, but their inner condition. This mechanism can confuse because it mixes the line between what is true and what is pictured. The person may feel sure of their reading, even when unconscious elements form it. This sureness does not stem from clearness, but from emotional force. The stronger the emotion, the more persuasive the sense grows. And yet, below this belief rests a deeper doubt, a feeling that something key is sliding past their grasp. Grasp, in fact, turns into a main concern. When the sense of loss grips, there is frequently a try to recover steadiness. This might occur via quiet tries to rebuild nearness or via inner plans meant to lessen worry. But since the base of the reply sits in the unconscious, these tries seldom fix the deeper root. The person is replying to a symbolic loss, not merely a real one. What renders this interaction so strong is that it compels a meeting with sides of the self that stay concealed usually. The dread of losing you brings to light weaknesses that might stay buried otherwise. It uncovers the manners in which selfhood has merged with the bond. In this regard, the sense of loss is not solely about the other individual. It is about the weakness of the self that grew around that bond. This explains why these instants often feel life-changing, even if the change is not grasped right away. The person faces a query that cannot be simply solved. What stays when the outer base of steadiness starts to dim? The unease comes not just from the possible loss of you, but from the doubt of who they are without that bond securing them. And so, what shows on the outside as a reply to spaces at a deeper layer, an awakening. It is the mind reacting to a sensed break, striving to restructure itself amid doubt. The event is seldom peaceful or neat. It is packed with strain, conflict, and a hunt for meaning that frequently directs inside instead of outside. Attachment is frequently described as something soft, even soothing. Yet below its surface rests a setup of unseen powers that silently form how two people connect with each other. When the chance of losing someone surfaces, this setup starts to show itself. What once seemed normal and unquestioned suddenly fills with strain, as if a hidden frame is being drawn into view. The bond is no longer just about fondness or common moments. It turns into an area where reliance, sway, and grasp are quietly bargained. At first, these interactions stay concealed because steadiness hides them. When both people feel safe, there is small cause to wonder how much one leans on the other, or how much emotional load rests on either side. But the instant space shows, even in the tiniest shape, the balance gets upset. This upset functions like a stress exam, uncovering where the bond holds even and where it fails. The one who senses the possible loss more strongly often finds an unforeseen level of dependence, while the other might show a different link to nearness and self-rule. This unevenness is not always clear, even to those taking part. It lives in faint designs, who asks for comfort, who steps back, who sets the emotional feel of the bond. Over time, these designs create a sort of silent pact, a setup in which each one fills a mental position. One may turn the anchor, the other the pursuer, one the source of approval, the other its taker. These positions are seldom picked on purpose. They grow through ongoing exchanges formed by each person's inner realm. When the dread of losing the bond surfaces, these positions start to stretch. The one who leans more on the tie may feel a pressing urge to fix it, not only to keep the bond, but to hold their own feeling of balance. Their deeds may grow more marked, more pushed, as if they fight to keep something whole that seems to be fading. At the same time, the other one may reply in an opposite manner, maybe drawing away more or claiming freedom, heightening the unevenness. This is where strength interactions turn clear. Strength in this setting does not always mean control in an open or planned way. It is more quiet, linked to emotional hold, the amount to which one person's condition sways the other. The one who seems less touched by the possible loss often keeps a type of strength, not because they chase it, but because their relative distance makes a difference. The more one needs the bond to stay firm, the more open they grow to changes inside it. Yet, this interaction is seldom fixed. It can change fast, sometimes even flipping. A person who once looked self-reliant may suddenly face the dread of loss themselves, showing their own concealed reliance. In this manner, the bond turns into a living setup, always shifting as each one replies to the other's motions. What makes this mechanism intricate is that most of it happens below aware knowledge. Each one senses the results, but the base setup stays hard to voice. As these interactions rise, they frequently carry a feeling of unease. The bond no longer seems fully shared. It starts to hold a hidden flow of strain. Queries come up sometimes without words. Who needs whom more? Who is clinging? And who is releasing? These queries are not always voiced outside, but they form conduct in quiet ways. Small deeds turn loaded, filled with hints that reach past their direct setting. At the same time, the rise of these interactions gives a rare chance for understanding. It shows how attachment is not just about bond, but about how people connect to themselves via that bond. The urge for nearness, the dread of space, the wish for comfort. All of these mirror deeper sides of the self-seeking voice. The bond turns into a reflection not only of fondness, but of inner frameworks that have silently directed conduct all along. What makes this instant especially key is that it breaks the image of ease. The bond can no longer be viewed as something fully balanced or direct. It turns multi-layered, intricate, formed by powers that go past aware purpose.